It had been a quiet summer morning until I noticed several unfamiliar utility trucks parked near my property. Workers were unloading equipment while the HOA president confidently gave them directions. Something immediately felt wrong. I walked toward the street and politely asked what work was being planned. One of the crew members explained they had been instructed to disconnect electrical service near my property. I knew there had to be a mistake. The paperwork listed my address, but the authorization details looked incomplete. I politely asked the crew to pause until everything could be verified. The workers agreed to double-check before proceeding. Victoria insisted the work should continue immediately because she believed the HOA had full authority. The crew explained that utility work required proper authorization. Everyone paused while waiting for clarification. I quietly stepped aside and made a phone call to verify the work order through the company's operations center. Within minutes, I learned the authorization request had never been approved. The situation was about to change. The utility supervisor received a return call from company dispatch before any work began. He immediately instructed his crew to stop and wait for updated instructions. Safety procedures always came first. The supervisor reviewed the digital work order and noticed several required approvals were missing. Without complete authorization, the crew could not continue. Company policy left no room for shortcuts. Victoria insisted the HOA had requested the work and expected it to continue. The supervisor respectfully explained that only the utility company could authorize electrical service changes. The conversation remained professional. Daniel calmly made another phone call, this time directly to the company's regional operations office. Within moments, senior management joined the discussion. The crew waited patiently for official instructions. A regional operations manager arrived shortly afterward and greeted Daniel with a handshake. Victoria looked surprised as the manager addressed Daniel with obvious respect. The crew quietly watched the conversation. The manager explained that Daniel owned the utility companies serving the entire region. The crew immediately understood why he had been verifying the paperwork so carefully. Every employee greeted him respectfully. The incomplete work order was officially canceled, and the crew secured all equipment before leaving. Safety barriers were removed, and no electrical service was interrupted. The neighborhood remained fully powered. Several neighbors watched from their driveways, relieved that everything had been resolved professionally. Many appreciated seeing company procedures followed correctly. The situation ended without unnecessary conflict. Victoria realized the HOA could not authorize utility work without proper approval. She quietly thanked the crew for explaining the process. The misunderstanding became a valuable learning experience. Later that week, Daniel met with community representatives to discuss utility procedures. He explained how residents could report service concerns through the proper channels. Everyone appreciated the clear guidance. The utility company also reviewed its internal verification process to make future requests even more transparent. Additional confirmation steps were added before field crews received assignments. The improvements benefited every customer. Months later, the neighborhood enjoyed reliable electrical service through every season. Residents appreciated the professionalism shown by the field crews and company staff. Trust had grown stronger. Daniel preferred keeping his ownership role private while focusing on serving customers well. Most neighbors simply knew him as the friendly man next door. That was exactly how he liked it. The utility crew occasionally visited the area for scheduled maintenance, always greeting Daniel warmly. Their shared commitment to safety and professionalism never changed. Respect had been earned on both sides. Looking back, Daniel realized the situation had been resolved because everyone followed proper procedures instead of rushing to conclusions. Good communication protected both the neighborhood and the electrical system. Professionalism made all the difference. A month later, the neighborhood invited Daniel to explain how utility infrastructure actually works. He shared how safety rules protect every home, regardless of who owns the property. Residents appreciated the practical information. The utility company introduced a new verification system requiring multiple approvals before field crews received sensitive work orders. The updated process increased transparency and strengthened customer confidence. Victoria thanked Daniel for explaining the approval process with patience and professionalism. She admitted that asking questions first would have avoided unnecessary confusion. Their conversation ended on a positive note. Several neighbors volunteered to form a neighborhood communication committee. Their goal was simple: solve future concerns through respectful discussion before making assumptions. Everyone supported the idea. As autumn arrived, utility crews completed routine inspections throughout the neighborhood. Daniel quietly thanked every crew member for maintaining high safety standards. Reliable service depends on teamwork. Residents began understanding how much planning goes into keeping electricity reliable every day. They gained a new appreciation for professionals working behind the scenes. Respect replaced misunderstanding. That winter, a powerful storm moved through the region. Utility crews restored service quickly despite difficult conditions. Neighbors expressed their gratitude for the team's dedication. By spring, the neighborhood looked brighter than ever. Friendly conversations had replaced tension, and community events became more popular. Small acts of respect created lasting friendships. Daniel continued living quietly, rarely mentioning his leadership role within the utility company. Most people simply knew him as a dependable neighbor who always offered help when needed. That reputation meant more than any title. Looking back, Daniel realized the situation could have become much more complicated if everyone had ignored company procedures. Instead, patience and careful verification protected both customers and employees. Professionalism made the difference. Another summer arrived, bringing neighborhood gatherings, laughter, and quiet evenings. Reliable electricity kept every home.